Now, all of Northern Ireland's district councils have now struck their rates for the next financial year. As always, it's good news for some, bad news for others. Castlereagh Borough Council managed to stay at 0%, while North Down ratepayers will be hit by a rise of 8.2%. I'm joined now by North Down Alliance Party Councillor and Deputy Mayor Ian Parsley and our own Martina Purdy. Thank you both for joining us. Martina, first of all, the facts and figures. There's some big hikes in here.
There are some fairly sharp rises. Fermanagh has topped the poll in terms of the sharpest rate rise on the district rate at around 8.5%. Now, speaking to someone there on Fermanagh Council who said the good news is it remains among the lowest rates in Northern Ireland, but the hike will put around £30 a year on the average bill in Fermanagh. The big problem there, apparently, is that the EPP, which is the estimated rate of income, was much lower than anticipated. There's also big hikes coming in North Down, Carrickfergus, Antrim and Ballymoney, and the rate rises there are between 7 and 8% plus.
Well, we mentioned one of the good news stories, the people in Castlereagh, of course, will see their 0% rates increase, so it will match the regional rate, which is being kept at 0. But any other areas where people are doing okay?
Yes, there's also a rates freeze in Larne. So if you live in Larne or Castlereagh, you're not going to have an increase when the bills come in April. There's a number of councils who've also managed to keep the rate rise below the 3% inflation rate, and that's Craigavon, Down, Lisburn and Magherafelt. And some of those councils had been concerned that there would be sharp rises. So they've been working on keeping rates down. But of course, the underlying story there is what services have had to be curtailed to achieve that. The highest rates in the land remain Limavady.
OK. Well, Ian Parsley, Deputy Mayor of North Down Borough Council. What does it feel like to be one of the big spenders here? Why?
Well, I think I would have to say, first of all, that over the last 10, 12 years, which predates my time on the council, in fact, we've typically had one of the lower rises.
You're not claiming credit then
so
for
I
the
can't
rise?
even claim credit for that, but
No.
I just think it's fair to give the historical context.
But you haven't given the reason why there's a rise.
Martina referred, there are a number of reasons. Martina referred, first of all, to you have to decide which services you cut. We have a number of significant capital projects. The most obvious is the 50-metre pool with the leisure centre, which we simply cannot cut. So we have to have, Martina referred to the EPP, the penny product. We simply have to have that penny product raised. We then had a certain hit, for example, from the rates cap, properties above 400,000. Last year we had that to some extent too. Properties above 500,000, in Larne you only have 2, in North Down you have 680 odd. We get hit particularly by that, but we simply have to raise the money from somewhere.
So basically what you're saying is all those big fancy houses in Cllr, their rates have been capped at 400,000 now and you don't get the benefit of that.
There is a reality that people, unfortunately in places like Lochview, are paying significantly more as a result. And that is difficult. Now, there have been other things. There's been a clawback on MOD property, which has hit us. It's hit others as well, but it's hit us particularly. And there has been the vacant property issue. Now, we managed to resolve that to some extent. We were quite serious when we thought that our rates rise was going to be significantly higher, but we did get the intervention from the Minister of Finance on that, and we did get the help with the vacant properties. And to some extent, we've been helped by the three parties working together in North Down, particularly on these issues. And I know that today the Belfast Telegraph has launched a campaign on parties working together, and that is part of the reason it's even been this. We were seriously looking at much more than this before we managed to get some working with our MLAs and working with our local councillors together to achieve this.
Obviously, all the councils, not just North Down, are living on borrowed time because we're going to head towards the new merger and the super councils. Do you think in general ratepayers will do better out of the mergers? Will they be hit less in the pocket or more?
I have to say, speaking personally, I'm a little concerned about that. The idea is that we save £200 million by doing this. I haven't seen where that £200 million comes from. There are significant set-up costs to this, and in Scotland they found this when they went for mergers. There were significant set-up costs that meant, for example, in one case I gather in Scotland there were 15 council directors on a new council compared to 4 on each council to start with. So you actually don't necessarily save money, certainly at the start. And I would like to see the executive work through in more detail where these savings are going to come from, because I'm a little concerned that what appears very good in theory will not actually apply in practice.
And Martina, just looking at the figures and the focus that's now been put on them, because Stormont in effect has frozen that regional rate, it has put the focus of this story on where the rates bills are going onto those local councils. It's an interesting shift then in terms of reporting it.
It is, and when the executive announced that they were freezing the regional rate, which is around 50 to 60% of your overall rates bill, the finance minister had urged that district councils don't take advantage of that by trying to put big hikes on. So it is a mixed bag there. It's good news and bad news. And if, as I said, if you live in Castlereagh and Larne, then you don't have to worry about an increase. Okay. You get the full benefit of the freeze.
Great. Thanks, Martina. Thank you. Thank you.